Are you thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, but you don't know where to start? Have you searched for a realtor who will be nearby when they are needed, who will answer your calls and emails, who will go the extra mile to ensure your every need is met, who will help you with sourcing and supplying contractors while negotiating the best deal possible? Do you need a realtor who does not believe in high-pressure sales tactics or other gimmicks? Then you need me. My name is Steve Roy, and I offer a full-service professional sales and customized marketing package for my clients. I am helping clients with buying, selling, and investing. I will build a custom plan to fit your needs. I will work closely with you to ensure that you achieve your goals. My services include not only an analysis of your local market and correct pricing, but I will also help you to prepare your home for sale and make it look as desirable as possible to buyers by providing expert advice, using professional quality photographs, and compelling descriptions. Let me help you minimize cost and maximize your profits. Call me today, 207-649-8522.
And I came here in 1986 to run it for myself, and I signed the papers, and I was owner of the Red Barn Incorporated. People come in here for the experience, more so than I think anything else. And they love the fact that somebody's actually taking the time to listen. Maybe you learn in proportion to how much you listen and care. If you can find that balance between doing what you love that isn't really work, that might pay the bills, and can resonate with people, and actually to some extent help people. Without my customers, I would be doing what I don't love, guaranteed.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. First, advise everybody to please turn off or turn down their cell phones for tonight's meeting. We're going to begin tonight with a public hearing, and we have an ordinance and an order, and this is a chance for the public to speak on these two issues. The first one is ordinance number 427, 2017, providing for an amendment to the Town of Winslow Code, Chapter 2, Article 19, Voluntary Municipal Farm Support Program, by adding the underlined language and deleting the strike-through language in the attached document. Would anybody like to speak on ordinance number 4, 2017? Now is your chance. Seeing that there's no comment, we'll go to order number 5, 2017, providing for the approval of the Town of Winslow 2017-2018 fiscal budget series in the amount of $21,815,700, and to establish a tax due date and interest rate on taxes remaining unpaid. If anybody would like to speak on this year's budget, now is your chance. Please step forward. Go ahead. State your name, please. And
thanks. I'm Kyle Price, principal at Woods Elementary School and also a resident. And seeing that this may be the only opportunity to have public comment, I just wanted to ask clarifying questions around that amount as is printed, if it's going to be amended to reflect the adjustments that were taken up in the work session that we had last week. Is, in my mind, if I'm thinking about this correctly, that number will have to be adjusted to include what was discussed from fund balance and tax rate.
yeah, go ahead, Ken. Why don't you start?
You know, if you could, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
There is more than likely going to be an amendment supplied for the council's consideration to adjust the number based on our work session of last week. And of course, that will be primarily to adjust the education portion to $14,530,033, which is what we didn't agree on, but that was what the work session produced as an option that the council will consider this evening.
And the number that you would then have to indicate in your, I'm looking at the budget worksheet that was handed out last time, you'd have to adjust the amount that is going to be expended for education to that number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then your revenue side is going to have to reflect
Yes.
where that money is coming from. And
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sure you're well aware that in that sheet you had $7,950,504 expected for education revenue, but
That
we
will
know
be
that's
adjusted.
Yeah.
less because of what we presently know. Just, again,
Yep.
seeing that this might be the only opportunity to ask that
Yep.
clarifying question, I figured I would step forward and,
Appreciate it.
all right, thank you.
Great. Is there any other comments on order number 5, 2017? Seeing that there's none, we'll close this portion of the public hearing meeting, and we'll continue now with the roll call.
Ray Karen?
Here.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Patricia West? Yes.
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our previous meetings. Been moved? Moved and seconded. Any discussion or corrections to the meetings of April, the minutes from April 10? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Communications. Legislator is not here. The mayor is not here. So we'll open it up to a public comment. The public is welcome to step up to the mic and speak on any topic they wish. Seeing that there is none, we will move on with the meeting, and I believe we will have Mr. West will make a motion.
Well, I haven't, so I guess
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I grabbed it, it was in between them, so I didn't know who it was. So,
Okay, go ahead.
And, motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405 CE, consultation with legal counsel regarding 2 legal matters, and we will try to make it as quick as possible so that we can get on with the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter into executive session. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll continue on with our regular meeting. We are going to move now to item number 5, which is appointments. We have 2 appointments, 2 people wanting to be on the planning board for a 5-year term. We have an H. Max Sheehan and an Earl Watts. You guys have all gotten their resume in your packet. Would you like to hear from them, the 2 candidates? Is Mr. Sheehan here first?
Yes, right here.
Would you step up to the mic, introduce yourself, and some people might have some questions for you.
My name is Max Sheehan. I've been a resident of Winslow for about 35 years. Worked in the retail flooring business most of the 35 years. Have a background basically in structure, flooring, building, a little bit of everything. Basically, like I say, I've been here for basically more than half my life. And at this point, I just thought I'd be able to offer a little bit of something back to the community. So somebody had told me that I had, they had an opening, so I just thought I'd put the application in and see if I can be of service to the town.
Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Mr. Sheehan? We all set? Want to hear from the second candidate then? Mr. Earl Watts?
Good evening. I've been here for 21 years. My wife and I decided we were looking for a place to live, to move here based upon reports about the school committee and the schools. And we haven't been disappointed. Our youngest, in fact, both of our children have been through the school systems. I'm just now starting to become conversant and get into the town business simply because for the last 20 years I've been in the military and I was prohibited by the Hatch Act from taking an actual, being involved with anything that could be perceived potentially partisan one way or the other. And the military attorneys were very much in the way of, nope, you can speak on single issues but not tremendously involved. As you can tell, I'm now no longer in the military. I retired April 19th after 32 years total, and I want to become more involved.
Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Mary.
The only thing I can say is thank goodness that we have in this day and age, people that come forward to volunteer for positions in the town of Winslow, and I want to commend both of you. There's one opening right now, and I would just encourage that whoever the application person is for this particular, is that please volunteer, don't get discouraged, but there's always opportunities that come up regularly, so please, come forward again, don't be discouraged by not being on this particular board.
I would echo that. It's nice to have a choice of two qualified candidates for a position like this. It's an important position, and please, whoever doesn't, there's other positions we're gonna need too. Go ahead.
What was your rank upon retirement?
Master Sergeant,
E9?
EA.
EA. What was yours? EA. But I have a little more time.
I never went to the dark side.
38.
Any more questions? I guess I would ask the town clerk, how many members serve on the planning board?
7.
7 members, and there's 6 now. This is to fill the 7th opening, or are there any alternate positions?
There's 2 alternates.
So there's 5 voting members and 2 alternates, and this is for,
Pretty sure.
okay. Is that your understanding, Ken, that there's 5 voting, and so there's only 1 opening, in other words, we can't add another alternate to try to.
At this time.
At this time, okay. So now that that's clear, that's mud.
So if you
I'll
want,
entertain-
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we nominate, elect, appoint Earl Watts to the planning board for a 5-year term, and if there is a second, I'd like to speak to my motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Earl Watts to the planning board, and you wanted to speak, go ahead.
Yes, and I would echo the comments made, and thank you very much for stepping forward, to volunteer, because that's what it is, but it's very important work, and there are many committees and groups within the town that we need motivated and energized people to take part in. So just because we had to pick one, it doesn't mean that we are not saying we very much do appreciate everybody coming forward. So I'd encourage just more and more involvement, but we've only got one position to fill. And with that, if the council decides, we will certainly keep you informed, all informed of these positions as they do open up, because they're important to do, and that you do add a lot to the town. Thank you.
Steve,
Any more discussion on Ken's motion?
it's just that Ken made a motion for Mr. Watts.
Yep.
Then we would vote on that, and then if not successful, then I would make another motion for Mr. Sheehan at that point in time, or?
So if Mr. Watts gets 4 votes, it's done, I assume, right? Is that
Okay.
how we're gonna do it?
Okay.
Is that how,
Okay.
or unless you wanna put 2 on the ballot, and I think the way the motion is worded, if Mr. Watts gets 4 votes, that will end it. That's how I understand it, but, yep. Any other discussion on Ken's motion? Do we have a show of hands on this motion? Okay, all in favor of Mr. Watts, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. 5-2. Thank you very much for the 2 of you to step forward. And do not forget, there are other positions that will be coming open. We'll move on to item number 6 on our agenda, which is reports of committees and commissions, and we'll begin with the town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, I won't report out now on my report because there's other things on the agenda that we'll be talking about that I do mention in my report, unless somebody has a question on the.
Anybody have any
industrial.
questions for the town manager? We have department reports, we have the finance committee report, and we have the financial report. Any questions on those? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept all reports.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept all reports. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passage unanimously. Move on to unfinished business. Ordinance number 4, 2017, providing for an amendment to the Town of Winslow Code, Chapter 2, Article 19, Voluntary Municipal Farm Support Program by adding the underlined language and deleting the strike-through language in the attached document. What is your pleasure? Moved. Moved and seconded. Ordinance number 4, 2017 is on the floor for discussion, if there's any discussion. If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Jerry Kirian?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Moving on to order number 5, 2017, providing for an approval of the Town of Winslow 2017-2018 fiscal budget series in the amount of $21,815,700 and to establish a tax due date and interest rate on taxes remaining unpaid. What is your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Order 5, 2017 is on the table, open for discussion.
Good, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
We've, as we all know, we spent a considerable amount of time working on a budget, which is, I would probably say, one of the hardest that we've had to work on. After working with the school committee last Tuesday, it looks like because of the lack of K-12 education funding, which has been cut $423,000 from FY17, combined with, as we heard tonight, more than likely, the legislature will not be deciding the budget until mid-June. So we are gonna have to proceed going forward. With that in mind, I would like to offer an amendment to order number 5, 2017, and I'll read it and then I'll try to explain it. Number 1, the amount to be raised and appropriated shall be amended to $21,967,613. That is approximately $152,000 more than the existing one that's on the table. Educational revenues will be amended to $7,557,764. The total education appropriated shall be amended to $14,530,038. That's $152,000 more than FY17, but it's still $150,000 less than the last request from the school committee. The amount of fund balance shall be amended to $346,000. Our original budget was at 0, but to fill the education gap, I use that term, we are going to appropriate $346,000 from the fund balance, and the amount the school committee is authorized to expend shall be amended to the $14,503,033. The following sections shall be amended as follows. Be it further ordered that any amount of municipal revenue funds raised over the above stated amounts shall be applied to the overlay fund. What that does is that if we do get more money from the municipal revenue sharing, that will go into the overlay fund, which eventually will end up into the fund balance, if everything else works. The following section shall be added after the above section. Be it further ordered that the amount of the school revenue funds raised over the above stated amount will be first used to reduce the amount of municipal fund balance applied and then used to reduce the tax rate. Let's assume that the legislature does decide to put more money into K-12 education. When that comes in, the first dollar up to $346,000 will be applied to the fund balance. So we will not have to use the fund balance. If we get more than $346,000, then that money will flow back into the town's general fund, which in turn will allow a appropriate corresponding reduction in the amount we have to raise in property taxes, which will end up affecting the mill rate. So, that's the amendment.
We need a second to that amendment.
Second.
We have an amendment on the floor that's been seconded. Any discussion on Ken's amendment?
It's just that it's not mentioned in that ordinance right now, but we did raise the mill rate, I believe it's 1.8 mils, to cover $200,000 before that also, for the school, for the shortfall in schools, that's correct.
Yes.
I just wanna make that sure, because it's not really
not
stated right here. But, so, in Ken's ordinance is to reduce it from fund balance, but also if we get more money, I believe that that would also reduce the mill rate at that point in time. So
Correct.
that,
That's correct.
you know, and theoretically, you know, which probably won't happen if revenue sharing and school subsidies were permitted to go back to 5% from 2% and school funding from 47% to the 55%, I believe, when I was talking to Ken prior to the meeting, that we probably could put fund balance in and at that point in time, have not a mill increase
Right.
in the thing, so.
Good point.
You know, if I could, one point of clarification, and as a matter of fact, I'd written up some comments, so, and there should be about 10 or 12 left over, so certainly hand those out to the people here. One of the things that happens is that when we think of the education amount, we actually retired some debt service between FY 17 and FY 18. And that was 112,580. So that 112,580 can now be applied to, I call it the classroom, but it will no longer be needed for the debt service. So that 112,580 now becomes available for education. So between the increase of 151,913, the actual increased amount of funds available for education is 264,493, which is a net effective increase of 1.84%. So there is more money that can be used in, I call it the operations line of the education budget.
Any further discussion?
Yes,
We'll start with,
in that meeting, didn't we, with this whole changeover, all right, didn't that bring with the entire budget up 1 mil over last year, up to 16,740?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, the projection, and
Yes.
of course, we won't know that for sure
Yeah.
until August, somewhere in there, but the projection is that we're gonna have a 1 mil increase.
Yeah.
Of that 1 mil, 0.69 is for the municipal side.
Yes.
Directly related to loss of revenue sharing.
Yeah.
And the 0.31 of that 1 mil is to supply the additional revenue for education.
Right.
Combined with $346,000 from the fund
Fund
balance. And that there's no question, if we had to have a court proceeding, there's always a preponderance of the evidence and beyond a reasonable doubt. There is, beyond a reasonable doubt, this is a direct result of the cut in municipal revenue sharing and the projected cut in K through 12 education. You can almost add it up dollar for dollar.
there would be no mill increase.
There would be
at
no mill
all.
increase. Actually, and it's what Ray pointed out, if we got back to 5%, and if the legislature funded K through 12 education at even 55, we could conceivably,
Lower by more than a mill.
we could lower it, or we could add on and fix more roads, or do whatever else we wanted to do, because that is real money. And we've managed everything so close that we just haven't got any room left. Yes? Oops. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Trish, go ahead.
By voting on the amended order, do we have to put the money towards reducing the tax mill rate? For example, like you said, the roads, our sewer systems. We have a lot of problems in the town that we're all hearing about, roads, sewer system collapsing, all that kind of stuff. Could we use that money towards that as opposed to putting it towards the mill rate? Or by passing this amendment, does it have to go to the mill rate?
This amendment would say the municipal, let's just say we receive more revenue sharing. Those funds above what we planned on would be applied to the overlay fund, which is now in the general fund.
Right.
Okay, and then we as a council,
We'll make that.
through another action,
Okay.
could decide what we do with that.
What we do with that,
overlay.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
final, Ken, on this, to change this 21,815,700 to 21,957, what?
967.
967?
21,967,613.
Are there any more questions on Ken's amendment? We're discussing the amendment to the original order.
And we will not know until the middle to the end of June.
That's the forecast.
If
We
there's,
hope it's correct.
if there's no further discussion, I want to make sure everybody has a chance to speak.
Just really quickly is, you know, the council's decision, we can, so not to reduce the mill rate, is that we also asked for a committee to be formed for tearing down the junior high school and putting, so, you know, at that point in time, when we have more concrete figures on what that cost of that project and tearing down the junior high, we should at that point in time have a very informed decision of where, if there is surplus, which is probably a very, you know, we'll at least be able to an informed decision on, you know, expenditures of the town.
You know, good, Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman.
Ken.
Just to add along with it, I think that that's a very valid point. This is a budget that stops the bleeding, you know, that we haven't solved anything. All we've done is allocated resources to have a budget that is at least somewhat reasonable going forward into FY18 until we find out what happens in the state legislature. Let's just assume that there is no change in municipal revenue sharing. Let's assume there's no change and they cut K through 12 education. We will my opinion is, we'll absolutely have to convene in July, school committee, council, because next year is gonna be really rough because we're using up every bit of reserve we've got. We've increased the mill rate. Now we're gonna have to go to a whole nother discussion.
Right, whole different level.
About how we're ever gonna put a budget together for FY19, combined with the work around the consolidation of the school.
Good point. Any further discussion on the amendment? If not, we'll have a roll call vote on Ken's amendment.
Ken Pledger,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Jerry Kirian,
Yes.
Patricia West,
Yes.
Ben Twitchell, Ray Karen,
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. So now that order number 5, 2017 has been amended to reflect the new figures, we will now, can either have a discussion if anybody wants to discuss order number 5 anymore. If not, we'll take a roll call vote on the actual order.
Just in discussion for that is.
Yep.
Let's hope we can reduce the mill rate because, you know, I believe in the future, it would give us some really leverage to increase the mill rate. And we have kept the mill rate down for 8 consecutive years at a very reasonable rate. So hopefully, that we will be able to have
It'd be
some
nice to be able to
surplus
keep this promise.
Do that,
Yep.
and then we might have to increase it for, you know, it gives us at least option to increase it. Other than that, I don't know what we'll do next year.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I
Exactly
definitely
right.
feel like we're stuck in a hard situation. I look forward to next year's budget talks being a little bit different, because this year's have been horrible. And we've put a lot of effort and work into this, and I personally feel like it didn't go well from the beginning, so.
Yes.
Okay, we will not know what our mill rate is gonna actually be until, the state budget has been passed and until the town assessor,
Finishes her evaluation.
yeah,
Yep.
finishes evaluation.
Yep.
So that, which is in August. So it might be a little lower, it could be much lower.
Yep, we won't know. Any further comments? Everybody's all set? We will take a roll call vote.
Ken Fletcher,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Jerry Kirian,
Yes.
Patricia West,
Yes.
Ben Twitchell,
Yes.
Ray Karen,
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. We will now move on to order number 6, 2017, providing for the authorization of the town manager to sign a 5-year lease between the town as landlord and Orion Rope Works as tenant. What is your pleasure? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Now open for discussion on the lease with Orion Rope Works.
This would be with Orion.
Orion,
It's, as you can see it's very similar to the lease we had before, the long-term lease we had before. It does call for every other year increases of 2% to the lease payment. And what will be retired likely in December, assuming they continue to make the deferred rent payments they've been paying us back. And it started out close to $500,000. And so that will be, if they continue to make payments, that'll be paid off this coming December. So that amount will, the monthly outstanding rent will go away, as you can see based on the lease payment here. So,
Any further discussion?
Has there been any more discussion about them purchasing the building?
I have not had any discussions with them about that.
Okay. I don't feel comfortable voting on this then, I'd like to table it. Because we've brought up several times that we wanted you to talk to them about purchasing the building, and you haven't talked to them about it, so, is that not correct? Have we not talked about them purchasing it?
We have.
I think we've sort of said that we will do something in the future, right? We're sort of in the
But in
middle of
5
this
years
budget.
from now?
Within the 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, what we've historically done is we put together a committee of the council members to do that. I haven't gone to do that by myself. If the council want to pursue that, then I would suggest we put together a committee to.
I think once we're done with this whole budget mess, that we should take that step in the near future, very near future. I'm gonna start on this side, I'm sorry, we'll go around, go ahead.
One of the questions I have is, when is this lease gonna be active?
July 1st.
So we only got
Yep.
a month and a half. I'm not done.
No, go ahead.
So that's a 5-year lease.
Yes.
What happens if we did a 1-year lease for them so that we can then put our committee and work and not be under pressure?
I think a 1-year lease would put us under more pressure. I think if we have a 5-year lease, we can sit down and have a more leisurely conversation about it, is the way I would put it, and that's not the right word I'm looking for, but I think if we have 1-year lease, it puts them behind the 8 ball and it puts us behind the 8 ball and actually makes it more difficult, in my opinion. Go ahead, Ken.
You know, the last conversation we had about this, and of course, nobody knows for sure.
Right.
But at least one belief is the belief I share, that since we've got the Johnny Seed lease, which is 5 years, now if we have a 5-year Orion Rope lease, if I was going to buy the property, and of course, there's a provision in the lease that says they've got the right of first refusal anyway. But if you think about it, having a guaranteed revenue stream, so to speak, really makes that property much more valuable.
And it makes their planning process a lot easier for them.
Because what you have is that you've got a 5-year, 4 to 5 year commitment of a, not guaranteed, but a high reliability revenue, so that if and when we ever did decide that we wanted to put that for sale, because we first offer it to the tenants,
Right.
but then we would go outside, which that school of thought says that we would have a much more valuable piece of
With
real
two
estate
tenants,
versus
right.
something that's vacant.
Right. That's a good point.
I
Raymond?
believe that as part of the sale, if we do decide to sell with a 5-year lease, would be contingent on honoring that lease.
Yep.
So that, you know, if we go to a 1 year, that's sending a message, thank God we have thank goodness, we have a business here in the town of Winslow that's supplying people. We don't want to send that message that we are not business friendly. So put in the 5-year lease and then looking at selling the building. And if I don't want to speak for Councilman Fletcher, but he said, if you're ever going to sell that building after the money we put in it for the last 5 years, is that it's probably at a maximum value. And I think Councilperson West said that, you know, we look into it, and I think that would be a positive.
Yes.
thing.
How long do we have left on the Johnny Seeds lease?
If we sign this lease with Orion, they both would expire at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, as we progress, we would want to get an appraisal,
Yes.
a commercial appraisal for the building, you know, before we approach anybody to
Yep.
talk about selling it.
Mr. Council.
Go ahead.
Chairman.
The only issue I have with it, and I've stated it before, if Orion cannot afford to buy that building or does not want to buy that building, and Johnny's does, they're stuck with Orion for 5 years.
But they also, if they have to take out $1 million loan to buy the building, they also have a source of revenue for that in 5 years too, to make the payments.
But if they want the room, that's not for us to decide.
No. Yes.
So basically, to the chair, what you're saying is, before we do this with the rope place to offer this to Johnny's, is see if they want to buy the whole thing? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
what I'm saying is Orion has right of first refusal. Approach Orion. Are you interested in buying this building, yes or no? They say no. Johnny's, are you interested in buying this building, yes or no? If neither one of them are, I'm all for signing this lease. But if Orion says no and Johnny says yes, but we don't want a tenant down there for the next 5 years, that's the only way we'll buy it. Well, they're locked in for 5 years if we sign this lease. That's my only.
That's fine, yeah, that's a good point. Is there any further discussion? Everybody's all set? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Jeff West?
No.
Jerry Kirian?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Move on to order number 7, 2017, providing for the authorization of town manager to renew the existing service agreement with Central Maine CATV to delay broadcast of town council meetings. What is your pleasure? Moved and a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, this is just a renewal of our existing agreement to videotape.
No change in cost or?
No.
All set? Go
The only
ahead.
thing is, do you think it's effective to the public? I don't know if there's any public, I would ask for public comment to see if it is, if, you think we're getting any benefit out of it, or, I don't know. Have you had any phone calls or anything for the benefit of?
Just-
I occasionally hear people make comments about having seen something, watched a segment that had aired, and they've commented to me about that, so.
They also post videos now on the two
Yeah.
websites that we
This
have.
does
on
get
the
posted on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
This does.
People actually see it quicker than the 2-week period now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard reports of that. Go ahead, Jerry.
What I heard, they like it, they can stay home and look at it, and anytime they feel like it. Because some of them kid me about it.
Yes, go ahead.
I will say one thing, I really appreciate seeing a full group here on council. Sometimes we'd have 1 or 2 people here for all the effort we were putting into this, and I'm very impressed with you folks right now.
And that's not counting the millions of people watching at home.
Well, we don't know that.
I'll be sitting this one out as well.
Any further comments? Is that a roll call, or is that a show of hands?
That's a roll call.
Roll call vote, please.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell? Jerry Kirian?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Now we move on to new business. The first one is ordinance number 5, 2017, an amendment to the Winslow zoning ordinance, Article 14, Section 1444, mixed-use district, by adding indoor recreation as a conditional use. Be it ordained by the Town Council, Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas the mixed-use district does not address indoor recreation, and whereas the planning board is requesting that indoor recreation be added to the mixed-use district as a conditional use, now therefore be it ordained by the Town Council, Town of Winslow, Maine, that the Winslow zoning ordinance, Article 14, Section 1444, mixed-use district, be amended by adding indoor recreation as a conditional use.
So move.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anybody been to a planning board meeting, know why they brought this up? Go ahead, Jerry.
Question, what do we have for indoor recreation?
That's what someone must have come to the planning board, would be
Yes,
my guess.
Yes, I think what prompted this was someone was looking to do a gym.
Okay?
From
And
what I
it's not
understand,
listed in our,
Right, and from what I understand, they were looking at a building in the mixed-use district, and since it wasn't zoned for that,
What happened to our zoning
Can't
map?
happen.
What happened to our zoning map anyways? It was
they're get-
outdated?
they're
Okay.
getting, yeah, they're getting updated,
For that CrossFit.
yeah.
Raymond?
Ellery's here.
That's what I was thinking
on
of
the- On
as
the
we-
planning board
Yep.
chairman, if he would like to comment on what the specifics are, or his opinion, I would think it would be valuable.
Would you like to step up to the mic, Ellery? And give us an update on your recommendation to the council?
Well, we listened to the person who wanted to have a type of a gym, and we thought there's nothing wrong with having that in a mixed-use district, but we did need to have, make it clear how many parking spaces that you would have to have if you did that. So we should add the use, and we also considered what was the appropriate parking requirements.
So correct me if I'm wrong, if it's a conditional use, that means every time someone wants to open a gym in this district, they will come to the planning board and make sure they meet your conditions.
That's correct. And we have some other uses in the mixed-use district that are conditional.
That are
uses
conditional.
Like that, because we want to consider the possible impact that that use might have on neighbors. Give them a chance to tell us if the neighbors don't.
Does anybody have any questions for Ellery? Is that clear to everybody? Everybody's all set? Thank you, appreciate it. Any further discussion on ordinance 5, 2017? If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell? Steve Russell?
Yes. Move on to ordinance 6, 2017, an ordinance providing for an amendment to the Winslow zoning, Article 14, Section 1460, parking spaces required, by adding the underline and deleting the strike-through language in the attached sections 1460 of the zoning ordinance. Be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas the planning board is requesting that Section 1460, parking spaces required, be amended by deleting bowling alley and adding indoor recreation. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Winslow that the Winslow zoning ordinance for Article 14, Section 1460, parking spaces required be amended by adding the underlined language and deleting the strike-through language in the attached Section 1460 of the zoning ordinance.
So moved.
Been moved, is there a second? Moved and seconded, open for discussion. I believe this is dealing with what Ellery just mentioned about the parking spaces, so pretty self-explanatory. If there's no further nothing to talk about, we'll take a roll call vote.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Moving on to order number 8, 2017, providing for authorizing up to $2 million of the town's general obligation bonds to finance road, drainage, and sewer improvements. By the Town Council of Town of Winslow, be it hereby ordered that the town manager, where am I? That the town treasurer and the chair of the town council be and hereby are authorized in the name of and on behalf of the town to borrow up to $2 million to finance various road, storm drainage, and sewer improvements on various streets and roads throughout the town, including but not limited to Joe Avenue, Augusta Road, Clinton Avenue, Millennium Drive, Wyman Bog Road, Clinton Avenue, Sunset Heights Development, and Benton Avenue. Tentative Municipal Partnership Initiative matching funds, collectively the projects. That pursuant to 30A MRS 5772, the town charter as amended, and all other authority thereto enabling to evidence such borrowing, there is hereby authorized the issue and sale of the town's general obligation bonds and notices in anticipation thereof in the amount not to exceed $2 million. The proceeds delivered from the sale of said bonds, including premium, if any, and any investment earnings therein shall be used and are hereby appropriated to the projects. including issuance costs thereof. That the town treasurer and the chair of the town council shall determine the date, maturities not to exceed 15 years, denominations, interest rate or rates, placement of payment, and other details of said bonds and notes in anticipation thereof, including provisions for redemption prior to maturity, with or without a premium, as provided in 30A MRS 57726, as amended, and other details as they shall approve, their approval to be conclusively evidenced by their execution thereof. That said bonds and notes in anticipation thereof shall be executed in the name of the town by the manual of facsimile signatures of the town treasurer and the chair of the town council, provided that at least one such signature shall be a manual signature sealed with the seal of the town, attested by the clerk. That the town treasurer be and hereby is authorized to covenant and certify on behalf of the town that no part of the proceeds of the issue and sale of such bonds or notes in anticipation thereof shall be used directly or indirectly to acquire any security or obligations, the acquisition of which would cause such bonds or notes to be private activity bonds or arbitrage bonds within the meaning of sections 141 or 148 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, the code. That the town treasurer be and hereby is authorized to covenant and agree on behalf of the town for the benefit of the holders of such bonds or notes in anticipation thereof, that the town will file any required reports to take any other action that may be necessary to ensure that the interests of the bonds and notes in anticipation thereof will remain exempt from federal income taxation, and that the town will refrain from any action that would cause interest on the bonds or notes in anticipation thereof to be subject to federal income taxation. That the town manager be and hereby is authorized to. Pardon?
Town treasurer.
Oh, I'm sorry. That the town treasurer be and hereby is authorized to covenant and certify and agree on behalf of the town for the benefit of the holders of such notes, of such bonds or notes in anticipation thereof, that the town will file any required reports making any annual financial material event disclosure, and take any other action that may be necessary to ensure that the disclosure requirements imposed by Rule 15C 2-12 of the Securities and Exchange Commission, if applicable, are met. Anybody else want to read a couple paragraphs?
Do you have to read the whole thing?
Unless someone
I'd
says.
like to make a motion that you don't read the whole thing.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Dying over here.
We have to vote on that motion, because I don't know if I vote for that.
I know. We will make a copy of this to anybody who wants to read the whole thing that the lawyers have written up. There has been a motion to dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to dispense with the reading. All in favor? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, order number 8, 2017 is open for discussion.
Well, we didn't finish reading it, so I
I gotta have a drink of water, too.
All to finish it, that would have been good.
Yes.
I have a problem as written. We kind of discussed this in the past, and we never included sewer improvements in this $2 million bond. I think that should be struck out and just have it various roads, storm drainage. Because the storm drainage was over there with Joe Ave, and we got these roads and streets that need to be repaved.
We did discuss, Paul did discuss that on the Joe
That
Ave side.
wasn't to come out of this 2 million.
Yeah,
No.
it was part of the project.
I don't remember it happening.
Am I mistaken, Paul?
It was spoken in general discussion, but I mean, I have no problem with it.
Well, in the past, we've done sewer repairs out of their capital funds, haven't we?
Right, yes, and
Is that more for equipment, or is that for lines also?
no, that's for,
That's for anything, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So your contention is if we don't use the bond money, we can stretch the road repair further, and if sewers need to be fixed, we should take it out of the sewer capital fund?
Exactly.
That is correct.
Ken?
You know, if I could, Mr. Chairman, I think the clarification may be is, maybe there are sewer improvements that are not directly related to the sanitary sewer system. I'm phrasing that as a statement, but it's really a question.
You lost me on that one.
Yeah. In our sanitary sewer system,
Yes.
we have a capital availability
Correct.
that we use for the sanitary sewer. The question I have is this sewer improvements, are all the sewer improvements in sanitation, or do we have non-sanitation sewer improvements?
No, they're all the sanitary sewer,
Okay.
whether they're pump stations or lines or.
So therefore, it would seem that, that the way I remember our conversation was we were primarily concentrating on roads and storm drains, because.
With
we
this
really-
bond.
With this bond.
Yeah.
And that the sewer improvements, if they are all included, we manage through the sewer capital fund.
Right.
Okay, so.
Does that work for you? If you're working on a project, part of this $2 million bond, and sewer work has to be done also, can we,
I think that might have been the original intent, if we're doing a street and we don't have enough capital funds in the sewer account, that if we need to do, if it stops us from finishing a street, where do we get the money?
right, do you know what we have for capital in the sewer?
Let's see, 200
206, I think.
So that's not gonna go, that wouldn't go very far if we're doing a
206
two.
in surplus and 226 in the present capital budget right now.
That's almost $500,000.
Right.
Raymond wants to say, I'm sorry, can I cut you off too?
Go ahead, Ken, if you want.
Well, the principle that we've tried to follow, because these bonds are gonna be paid for by all the residents in the town, even
Yes.
those, us out in the boonies, so to speak.
Yep.
So what we've tried to do, like with anything else, if it's strictly a user issue, like the sanitary sewer, we try to keep that within that account, so we aren't socializing those costs to people that don't have the benefit of the sewer.
And have septic system.
Right, so I would think, and of course, if there is a project that we need to deal with, and we need to spend more money than we've got in the sanitary sewer capital line, we can deal with that in other ways,
Yeah.
without dedicating these bonds to that purpose. You could have loans, so to speak, and you could recover that. So I would suggest, and I'll make an amendment, that we strike the sewer improvements and just leave it to road and storm drainage.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have an amendment on the floor, moved and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think I'd leave improvement and just say, to finance various roads and storm drainage improvements.
Oh.
Just strike out
Yeah.
and sewer.
Yep, you're right, Jerry. That was my intent.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll let everybody else speak first. Anybody else got something to say on the amendment? Go ahead.
It's just that this is a bond for $2 million.
Yep.
And we're kind of having a discussion right here, although at the time we had the discussion for the 2 million, we listed all the things that we were going to do, and I felt very comfortable. But, in the future, we have some issues where we're kind of like talking about something, but it's really $2 million that we're gonna affect a bond, and then we know we have spending in the future. I just feel a little bit uncomfortable right now that maybe we should table this, have a discussion about the projects. Even though we felt very comfortable at the time, I guess I'm right now, with all the language changes, a little confused as to that $2 million and the effect that would have on the town. I guess if somebody could clarify that, I'd be more than happy to do that, but I'm getting a little uncomfortable.
Because of the amendment and the confusion that's causing, you mean? Or-
Yeah,
Yes.
just like,
Okay.
even though at the time we had the discussion, we knew we had these projects that are
Right.
immense, that we're so far behind, and that we need that $2 million. It's extremely justified, but with the expenses we know are coming up, I think we owe it, that everybody's clear what we're spending $2 million on right now.
Yep. Good point.
Good, Mr. Chairman. In our capital plan, and I can't remember how far back, but we should be spending $500,000 a year for roads and these type of structures, approximately, I think it's $495 or something.
Yep.
We intentionally, rightly or wrongly, for at least the last 3 budget cycles and probably 4,
Yeah.
have not put in 500,000, we've been putting in 200,000 to 300,000. So what we've done is we've not done all the work that we needed to do. So if you think of it, this bond is a way of catching up for what we've done in the budget to not fund these improvements. Now, we can all debate whether that was a good idea or a bad idea, but the reality was, we had some debt service coming offline and everything else. This year, we did put 500,000 in, right?
Yes, we did.
So what this is in my mind, this $2 million is to catch up on what we haven't done for roads and drainage improvements, right? That was what we intended to do. So that we now can start to put a plan together, because we obviously aren't gonna spend $2 million in 1 year, but at least over the next 4 to 5 years, we can do extra projects to catch up on what we haven't done for the last 4 years. That was my understanding.
The only, the only issue I have with your amendment is, and I think it's gonna be okay, is if we start a project that involves, when you're doing a project from beginning to end, you wanna make sure you do everything underneath the road while you're there, of course.
Right.
I think we all understand that. If it's a 100-year-old drainage pipe, or if it's a 75-year-old sewer pipe, it should be replaced while we're rebuilding the road. My concern would be is if we're in the middle of a construction of a street and there's not enough money in the sewer capital to fund it, if we couldn't use this money to get that done in the first year, let's say, and then over a 2-year period, draw down the sewer capital to replace this bond money. In other words, use this as a bank if we had to in that situation, so that the sewer work got done in a timely fashion, which might mean some of this bond money might fix a sewer pipe, but then get repaid by the sewer department. I don't know how we work through the schematics of that.
Well, good, Mr. Chairman, I think when we write it in as road and storm drainage and sewer improvements, that is implicitly stating that this money is for sewer improvements.
Right.
And the scenario you provided, it might be a way of getting a short-term loan, but the intent is always to have the sewer,
Sewer pay for
sanitary
it, right.
sewer, as a self-contained entity in the sense of financing. So I think that the idea of intentionally taking out sewer improvements, so no one is thinking that this money is not gonna be reimbursed or whatever, is
Right.
fine.
Okay.
To me, now, of course, that's only one opinion.
So we're still on the amendment, Ken's amendment. Is there more discussion on that amendment? Did you want
The
to say something?
problem is, if we have sewer improvements in there, how are you gonna track that money being used for sewer improvements so that we can reimburse it? It's not gonna be as easy as you think. And then we could lose control of how much money we spent on sewer improvements through this bond.
Good, Mr. Chairman. Not that I'm the Public Works, and the Public Works Director's gonna correct me here where I go wrong, but every project's gonna have to be engineered out, right? I mean, it's not like you just go out and start,
Start digging, yeah.
right? So every project, whether it's on Joe Avenue or wherever, gonna be a defined scope of work. And if in that scope of work, there is sewer work that's needed, because you don't wanna dig the road up twice, right, and it's old pipe, then you should be able to have an inventory of what you've done, so that you can always reconcile that. Now, that's my assumption, I don't know if
Now
that's
that-
correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm required to keep track of what the money is spent on, so, because I have to report that. So I'll do a spreadsheet, I create a spreadsheet for each bond we do, and I keep track of all spending for those bonds. And so I'll do the same thing here, and plus Paul tracks his spending as well. So we'll be able to track.
Track
We'll
that.
be able to
Yep.
track the spending.
Any more further comments on this amendment?
Could we move the question and vote on the amendment?
If there's no more questions on the amendment, we're gonna vote on the amendment now. Please.
Okay, Jerry Kirian,
Yes.
Ben Twitchell.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Ken Fletcher.
Yes,
Patricia West.
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. So the amendment has been approved. Now we have order number 8, 2017, as amended.
Got another question on this order. You have tentative municipal partnership in initiative matching funds, and it's in parentheses. For which project?
It's listed. I believe it's right in this line right before that. I don't know, where was that? What line was that?
can that be used on, first of all, what?
No, there's only one that the state has authorized us to, it was listed there. Where am I, why am I
MPI?
missing it? Why am I missing
Are you
it?
thinking the MPI?
It's Clinton Avenue,
Right.
It's Clinton Avenue, wasn't it? That's the only one that qualifies for matching, right? That's how I read it.
I think my intent was to apply for a second one for Benton Avenue
Oh, to apply for two.
for 2019,
Okay,
and I was hoping to use some of these proceeds as matching.
as matching funds, okay? And that would only apply to Benton Avenue if you get approved.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Does that clear it up for you, Jerry?
One other question. Is when do you need that money to start construction on Clinton Avenue?
I don't need this money for Clinton Avenue.
Okay, because you got Clinton Avenue, not you, but they put Clinton Avenue on, that's twice. So could we
Well, I
remove,
think that was for next year to do the other section of Clinton Avenue after the water district does the water main,
Right.
from Monument west, east.
it's basically very unclear.
Trish?
Can you send me a list of the roads that you're gonna repair with this bond?
I can, we had not written a completely specific.
Right, but then when you do, can you send me a list just so I can post it on Facebook? Because all I hear about is the roads and how crappy they are, and I wanna let them know that they're gonna be taken care of with this bond, so.
I assume you're gonna have to do some sort of planning, and you're gonna
We are,
spend
we
this
just-
over a
we
two-year
just haven't
period?
really- I just really haven't sat down and. figured out.
Probably a two-season construction on $2 million, or would you go three?
Do the MPI, we'll probably go three.
Yeah, okay. It gives you time to think the process through and decide which ones are the highest priority. Ken?
The Knoll Road's on that list, yeah. The Knoll Road is not on that list.
You know, no, but good, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Do we need to provide a decision or just a direction on whether we want to go with a 10-year or a 15-year time period, term?
Yeah, I'd like some direction on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know, if I
That's a
may,
good point.
I would suggest that we go with 10, even though that's gonna make our
payment larger.
larger. If I've got the numbers right, we'll save $141,000 just in interest.
Yep.
Versus 10 versus 15. And, you know, sure, we can spread it out, but I would suggest we think about going with 10.
Plus, if you go with 15, by the time you get to the 14th year, you're re-repairing roads. that you-
Right. But that's, you know, but that's what I'd recommend, but I'd
Yep,
like to hear what
I
the
agree
rest
with
of the-
that. I think that's a good assessment. Anybody else agree with 10 instead of
We've
15?
got that debt service that's all done, and we're just taking a portion of that for this bond, so I'd say go for the 10.
Do we want an amendment to that? Do you need that, Mike, or is that a good enough
Well, no, I
direction
think
for
the
you?
direction for 10 is good. This
Good,
says up to
okay.
15, but
It's
I'll-
up to 15, but you've got the message that we want 10.
Is my feeling is that we know we're gonna have to borrow some money for the school.
Yep.
For that consolidation. This further, you know, handcuffs us as to what we feel we could spend. And I don't know, what is the difference between 10 and 15?
About
The-
14 grand a year.
The 10 is 231,000 a year, the 15 is 163. So I don't know what that is, that's about 70,000.
$70,000.
About 70,000, yeah.
It's substantial.
$70,000 more per year, but we save 140,000 over the
Yeah.
life of the bond.
Right.
So it's a
And-
trade-off.
and, you know, I think that, you know, the whole bigger discussion around the consolidation of the school and all that, we are gonna have to have a good discussion around that, because we can't let our roads fall to pieces trying to anticipate a number that's increased every time I've seen a report, you know.
We have ignored our road work, as you
Yeah.
so perfectly stated, for the last 6 or 7 years, at funding them half of what we should have, and we're paying for it now. Yes, sir.
Back again on this description. Clinton Avenue is in there twice. The question I have is, are we looking at doing 2 sections of Clinton Avenue? Or should we just strike one of those out?
you're only looking at doing one section, I think, aren't you, Paul? Besides,
2 sections including this year.
right,
Yeah, one section that would be on the block.
yep,
This year is already funded.
yes.
Yes.
So may I make an amendment to remove, one section of, not just remove Clinton Avenue on one, and just so that it's not confusing.
Which one you want, first one, second?
Is there a second to his amendment?
Yes, I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to remove one of the two Clinton Avenues.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
No. No discussion. No discussion.
Do we have to have a roll call vote on amendment, correct?
Yes.
Roll call vote.
Jerry Kurian.
Yes.
Ben Twitchell.
Yeah.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Ken Fletcher.
Yes.
Patricia West.
Yes.
Steve Russell.
I was gonna say no, but I'll say yes.
You can say that.
Okay. Again, order number 8, 2017 as amended. Any more discussion?
And
Raymond?
I mentioned respectfully, extremely respectfully, is that roads are important and school's important. We're all important, we all make distinctions, and it's tough decision, that's all I'm saying.
We're gonna get $2 million worth of road repair for approximately $160,000 a year for a 10-year period. And it's gonna,
Actually-
hopefully, will catch us up.
Actually, 231.
231, I'm sorry, I used the wrong number, you're right. 231 a year for 10 years. We all set?
Yes.
Roll call vote.
Jerry Kurian.
Yes.
Ben Twitchell. Ray Karen.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Ken Fletcher.
Yes.
Patricia West.
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. We will now move on to Resolution 14, 2017, and providing for the recognition of Daniel Kraus, a Boy Scout, did I have that pronounced correctly, Kraus? I don't want to pronounce that right. Kraus, of Boy Scout Troop 417 for having attained the rank of Eagle Scout. Be it resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas Daniel Kraus developed, planned, and carried out the construction of a decorative sit-in wall at the Pine Tree Camp in Rome, Maine. And whereas a Boy Scout Review Board determined that Daniel Kraus was worthy of the rank of Eagle Scout, and whereas obtaining the rank of Eagle Scout is an accomplishment earned by a Boy Scout who has shown leadership, commitment, diligence, team spirit, and service to his community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow, that Daniel Kraus is hereby recognized for his great achievement of having attained the rank of Eagle Scout. And be it further resolved that a certificate suitable for framing be presented to Daniel Kraus for his great achievement.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is he here?
Yeah.
Is Daniel here?
Probably got past his bedtime.
Oh, but yeah, we're running a little late. Any discussion?
No.
That's a show of hands. All in favor of Resolution 14, 2017, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passes
Congratulations.
unanimously. Thank you, Daniel.
Good job, Daniel.
Good job.
Moving on to Resolution 16, 2017. 15, did I miss one? I did. Oh, it was in my pack, it was in the envelope. Okay, pardon me, Resolution 15, 2017, providing for authorization of the town manager to sign the attached administrative consent agreement between Caleb Albert and the town of Winslow. Be it resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas Caleb Albert and the Town Council wish to resolve Mr. Albert's setback violation and any issues related to well, water, salt contamination on 2 of his properties. And whereas an administrative consent agreement has been prepared. Now, therefore, be resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow, the town manager is hereby authorized to sign the attached administrative consent agreement between Caleb Albert and the town of Winslow. What is your pleasure? Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. It is now open for discussion. Any discussion?
I make a motion that we table this.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to table Resolution 15, 2017. Any discussion?
There was no discussion on the table.
No.
Oh, no discussion on table, I'm sorry. Yep, you're right. All in favor of table, and please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion is tabled. Now we move on to Resolution 16, 2017. Application for a restaurant, Class 1, 2, 3, 4 liquor license renewal, beer and wine only by the Asian Cafe on 53 Bay Street. Be it resolved by Town Council of Town of Winslow as follows. An application for a restaurant liquor license for Anima The Asian Cache on 53 Bay Street be approved pursuant to Title 28A, Section 2, Subsection 3, Sections 161, 161A, and Section 601, Subsection 1 of MRSA as amended.
So moved.
Moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? And I apologize for not being able to pronounce that name. I'll do better next time. No discussion, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Moving on to Resolution 17, 2017, providing for authorization town manager to sign a heat and oil supply agreement with Springbrook Ice and Fuel at a cost of $18,300. Be resolved, the Town Council, Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas the Town of Winslow is in need of heat and oil agreement for fiscal year 2018, and whereas Springbrook Ice and Fuel is agreeable to providing the town with 10,000 gallons of home heating oil at $1.83 a gallon. Now therefore be resolved, Town Council, Town Manager is hereby authorized to sign the attached heating oil supply agreement with Springbrook Ice and Fuel at a cost of $18,300. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No discussion.
We're all happy with it.
All happy.
Very happy.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Discussion. Social media. Who put this one on?
I did.
Okay, so the floor is yours.
Do I have to lead the
Yes,
discussion?
if
about
you
this?
put it on the agenda, you,
Okay. So I met with Mike about social media in regards to being more transparent with the citizens of Winslow. And we talked about how a lot of questions go to the What's Happening in Winslow, Maine Facebook group. And there's only some counselors that are on Facebook, only some counselors respond. I asked you if you were gonna check with MMA about if the council should have their own Facebook page that questions go to,
Yeah, we have a town Facebook page. That if somebody posts a question on there, the department heads have access.
have you had anyone
can-
post a question?
We have.
Okay.
It doesn't happen frequently, but
Yeah.
occasionally we do get a question that's sometimes around trash.
Yeah, like when's trash day? That's like the number one question. When's someone picking up my trash?
But whenever we post on there, it also, as you probably know, it also sends an automatic tweet. So.
I don't tweet.
And the other thing I understand about our account is people like your page, and theoretically, when you post, they're supposed to see that post on their feed, but because of the nature of our account, not everybody sees it. And so if we want more people to see it, we have to pay $5 to $10. It's not like it's a lot, but
$5 to $10.
Well, if you make it.
for a post.
No way.
The way-
Did not volunteer for that.
I don't, I'm kind of a neophyte at this one, and so I don't understand the whole thing, but the Facebook pages I'm liked in the past, whenever someone makes a post on that page, I see it. You're telling me that doesn't happen with a town page, so to me, that's not a very effective Facebook page.
It depends on if it's organically showing up in someone's news feed, like when you're scrolling through Facebook, if it pops up organically or not. And when you have to pay, it's when you're boosting a post.
Right.
So if you're gonna say the town office is closed on this day, you're boosting it for $5, then everyone sees it more in their news feed. My concern is that people post to the What's Happening in Winslow, Maine page and the Winslow Neighborhood Watch page, and it normally starts a fight, and a lot of misinformation goes on there, in regarding the police department and regarding,
What roads we're gonna fix, or?
yeah, the roads.
How many
like-
mailboxes got
Yeah, the
flipped?
town manager, all that kind of stuff, and I just wish there was a central location where people could post questions and ask, and we could respond, as a council, because there's a lot of misinformation about there, and then people get into fights, and then there's name calling, and then, I know we're never gonna stop that, but I just wish there was a page where we could be well represented with ordinances and information for people. Because we get a lot of bad rep for not giving people information for the counselors. That's why I'm constantly on that page like, no, that's not correct, or you should go here, you should go there, or call, email your town counselor, and I put my email address on there all the time. I haven't gotten an email, but I still put it out there because we get a lot of bad press about not being transparent enough. So,
Well,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I don't use Facebook. I don't
You're gonna have to
tweet.
start.
Well, no, I can't. I mean, you know, I could talk about my personal opinion about some of the issues we have in our society, but I won't go there. But if it's just information, isn't there a way on the town website that, you know, I go on and I check when trash day is, right? Or if, once we get our road plan put together for whatever we're gonna do, just have a plan that lays out, hey, here's the plan that we're gonna do this road in this time frame and so forth. If there are other issues, and, you know, there's probably always other issues, I would think it'd be, being old-fashioned, it'd be a lot better to go from the town website than, you know, I could have a Facebook page and somebody could ask me a question as a counselor, but I'm not speaking for the rest of the.
That's why we'll have to be careful, right?
You know, I mean, you know, I could give my personal opinion as a counselor about this issue, but if that's then taken as being, this is the council's position, that's not right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway.
Go ahead, Raymond.
I have 10 thumbs, limited mental capacity, and 3 friends. Facebook ain't for me, but
Is the Winslow Facebook page one of your friends?
no, I don't know. I haven't been on for a couple of years, so I don't know.
Well, I think Counselor West does make a good point about it's a valuable tool to get information out to the people. I mean, I don't know how many people visit our Facebook page, but those two combined have almost 4,000 people on them. I mean, I think it's 3,000 something.
People don't go to our Facebook page, they don't go to the website, unfortunately. They'd rather post something in this group where other people can comment on it and get other people's feedback. There's also been discussion about using our Facebook page to go live during a meeting. So people that can't attend the meeting can watch it live as it happens, as opposed to watching YouTube, you know, in a couple days. So there's been discussion about that, asking questions to us so that we can answer it live while they're watching us. So just bringing this forward.
Okay, so we
to
will
discuss.
appoint Trish as the
No.
committee
I
chairman
already
for
got
social
3
media.
Facebook pages I
And
don't
bring
use
us
now.
a proposal next meeting.
Can't afford me, okay? No.
Bring a
I don't
proposal
do
to the
so-
next
no.
meeting
No.
for what we should do. So something we can think about and allow the people in town to give us feedback. How do they want to access information? How can
How do
we?
other towns do it? I mean,
I think most of them just ignore Facebook.
right, but that's not.
That's not necessarily
really,
good.
I mean, it's,
But-
Facebook, it has downfalls, but it is one thing where we're all connected if we're on it, and you can talk to anyone anytime. So
I'm not sure we want to make
the thing
public
of now-
policy on Facebook, but certainly it's a way to share information.
Yeah, I think other towns do what we do. They have a website where they put the information out. So we post events on our calendars, and we do announcements. And typically, whatever I'm posting there, I'll go to the Facebook site and I'll post there.
Like taking a picture of the agenda to let them know what the agenda is on, like
Yep.
posting that on Facebook?
We could put that on our Facebook.
Right.
and
But no one's going to see it.
But normally what I do, if I have something posted on the website, like the agenda, I'll post a link on Facebook to the website so that they can, if they want to follow the link, they could click the link and go and look at the agenda or whatever. So that's
So it
what I
sounds
do.
like we're making some attempt to make information available. Whether or not the people think that's a big enough attempt, or if we should do more, I don't know. But we certainly aren't trying to hide, I don't think.
You know, if I could, Mr. Chairman, and I hate to form a committee, but I think we need to get interested and knowledgeable people on the technology. Not that I'm looking at you, Trish, I know we're busy, but if we really want to address this, get a group together who understands the technology. I don't understand the technology, so I wouldn't be much use, because I struggle with emails some days, but to really say, hey, this is how this works, right? How these various technologies work. How could we tie this into the town website, which is the official communicator?
Right.
So that so if a person's got a question, they can go from Facebook or tweet or wherever they are, and somehow get back to the town website, or the website get to them.
Right, I assume, Mike, that if someone went to the town website and had a specific question for a specific department head, like the police department or the public works for garbage or something like that, that our department heads access that question and can answer it? Is it official space for our department heads to answer questions?
On the Facebook site it is, because they all have access and they can all respond. Amanda, is Amanda here? Amanda does an outstanding job with the Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, I always get posts from them, yeah.
Posting and responding, and of course, she's interacting with parents who are very interested in, you know, what's going on with their kids and what activities are available.
So now we have 2 people for the
And-
committee. Do we
Chief
have any?
O'Leary is really
Yep.
good on Facebook as well. I do miss his Warrant Wednesday, but he is really good on Facebook.
So now we have 3 people for the committee.
Yeah, I volunteered chief, I volunteered the chief.
I don't wanna be in any committee.
I think it merits discussion and input. I'd like to hear the citizens' input. What do they think we should do? What more do they want for
Do you
information?
want me to post that on Facebook?
Sure, and then
And
everybody's,
seriously, I will print
Say-
off
say we
responses,
want-
'cause
we
I'm
want
sure we're gonna
discussion.
get a ton, and I'll just like blank out the ones where they're cursing at us. I'll just.
No, I
just
wanna see
try to
that
take
too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I get 6 friends.
and you can forward it. Can you copy, paste, and forward that in an email form to
Yes.
counselors that aren't on Facebook? Any further discussion? Anybody else want? Jeff, go ahead.
I have 2 small, quick, little things. Number 1, Miss Amanda.
Miss Amanda.
Miss Amanda over here has done a wonderful job downstairs. I don't know if any of the counselors have been down and see what.
Have not been down.
Well, you can actually go down there, turn on the light and it works. You can see.
Yep.
You can go to the restrooms and not wonder what that is on the wall. But Miss Amanda has a huge problem down there. She wants to rent this place out, and she doesn't have the ability to accommodate people without telling them to bring their own tables and chairs. What she has left for tables and chairs are less than stellar. I would like to make a motion, I don't know if this is proper or not, that we allot her $1,500 to buy new tables and chairs for the rec center. And, yeah.
No.
Oh, go
Keep
ahead.
finishing, finish your
And
thought.
I would also like to see us give her an extra $1,500 to go over to one of the local small engine shops and buy a couple of backpack blowers. The boys were out doing cemeteries during school vacation. You've got 6 kids doing a cemetery out on the Knoll Road, took them 8 hours. A job that with a backpack blower could be done with 3 kids in half an hour, or half the time. So you could have 3 kids with a backpack blower and another cemetery getting that done. It's more of an efficiency issue, and I think in the long run, for that little bit of money, that
Yes.
it would pay bigger
Is there any
dividends
money
and get
there?
more done in
Yes.
town.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
We're looking at the capital improvement.
Yeah,
line
Amanda and I have
for
already
Parks and Rec.
kind of talked a little bit about this. So she's got money, we talked about her capital account. She's got 58,000 right now in recreation development. And for the maintenance equipment, right now we have 12,000. So it would be appropriate if she wants to make an expenditure for her to come to me and.
We don't need a motion then
No.
from this council. That's in the capital improvement
Yep.
fund available for her to tap into.
Yep. All I need is a request.
I don't have the check on me, but we'll give you a blank check and you can do what you want.
And now,
Up to 58,000. Hey,
side 2 is, where she's trying to get more rentals down there.
Yep.
And where budgets, well, are not the greatest thing in the world lately. Is there any way the money the revenue she gets from that can be put in an account that she has access to do improvements to the rec center, to some of her programs, that doesn't get dumped back into the general fund?
Off the top of my head, I would say that our artist probably wouldn't like that too much, and that she now has $58,000 available in a capital improvement fund that she can come to and make a request anytime. That's probably the proper way to do it, have it go into the general fund, and then we'll put it into the capital fund if that's what we need, if we need to refurbish that capital fund. I think that's the way the auditors are gonna wanna see the trail.
Yeah, we do the,
That's why I was asking the
Yeah.
question.
we do the rec programs, we allow them to be basically self-funding.
Right.
For the most part, so we don't have to raise tax dollars to pay for the
Uniforms or
recreational
shirts.
programs.
That's where the Right,
15,000
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. But your point is well taken, the work that she's doing down there, and the fact that we do wanna support her, I think there's no question.
You know, if you could, Mr. Chairman, I think one of the things that, you know, we always like is to see a plan, right? You know, because it's not 1 year, you know, I mean, you know, that you have to look ahead 4 to 5 years. That's why we intentionally put money into capital, recreational activities and everything else, because that can be formulated into a strategy. Because the thing we like to do is to put a little bit of money in every year to spread that, so every once in a while that you may have a large expenditure. So if we can formulate that into a plan, then we can build that into the budget.
Yep.
So that the resources are there when you need it, versus having to go come in and ask for it, ask for it, ask for it, at least there's a strategy and a plan. Which is what we do with just about everything else, from fire trucks to everything.
Exactly.
I think this particular one was just because you just identified it, and it's past the budget season, so you can't put it in, but you could have some added revenue, as Jeff said, if you had better rental equipment and better tables and stuff like that.
Like I mentioned previously, you're looking at increasing costs to reflect the newer, better smelling.
Oh, sorry, I left that part out.
All the chairs are gone.
So you can't charge more if you don't have any tables and chairs, though, right?
Right, right.
He had some of the most uncomfortable, overstuffed chairs.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one question to the librarian, directed to Rector Park. Have you gotten your new chairs yet?
They arrived today.
And the old chairs are going where?
Well, I'm trying to find a good home for them. I thought I had a home for them, but the person changed their mind, so I'm going to offer them around. If anybody's interested, we've got some very worn, well-loved, upholstered library, you know, wooden upholstered chairs that were our meeting chairs that we just replaced. They're about 30 years old, so I think we've got no money for that.
Maybe the audience will want to be at these long meetings. Thank you.
Make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
No more comments? It's been moved that we adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not all in favor, please raise your right hand.
No discussion.
It's only 9.